Good afternoon, friends. It is Labor Day weekend here in the United States, and we celebrate through work. Labor. And by we, I mean me in my office. Today, we're going to cover touch on API testing, and more specifically, API testing with Postman, and more specifically, API testing with Postman as an extension of VS Code, because this summer Postman created and released a Visual Studio Code extension for API testing, um, and I spent a few minutes and I played with it, and it seems reasonable. There are still things to work on, like refreshing um, entities. They don't seem to work properly, but maybe I'm not using it correctly. Anyways, um, yeah, so Postman is gonna be, because regardless of how many blogs you read on API testing or on um, on Postman, um, it's never enough. So why not? Let's have a video on how to use Postman as a Visual Studio Code extension. And why do we want to keep learning or reading about Postman? It's because um, since I started to work with Postman Business Central API, Postman proved to be an essential tool for API testing. And what can you do with with Postman? You can create requests, and you can execute those requests targeting APIs that are in Business Central, created by Microsoft or created by you within Business Central. So yeah, I mean, every single project you have related to APIs, you would in that stage of writing the API, you would test the API, and one tool to test the API is Postman. There are other tools. Um, the other choice I have for quick testing is PowerShell scripting for API. But yeah, so basically you can send different operations like reading, get requests, like inserting a new record, that's a post request, updating a patch request, or deleting with a delete request. And you can do all these CRUD operations using API requests. Prior to this summer, we had one Windows application for Postman. So you just download, you install it, you log into your Postman account, and I didn't try or I don't even know if there is a guest option to run without being logged in, but I usually log in. And so that's one way of using Postman, using the Windows application. The other way is using the web application. So you just go to your favorite browser and type www.postman.com, and you log in into your account, and here you go, you got access to all your workspaces and environments, collections that you worked through time. And yeah, so that's what's been since this summer with Postman. I've seen an email from Postman a few weeks ago, and announcing that they have a Visual Studio Code extension, and I said, Wow, that's a cool thing. I should blog about it. And here we go. We are here. Welcome to my channel. Please join if you haven't done it. There will be lots more of tips and tricks and news around Business Central. Thank you and keep watching. Thanks. So let's open Visual Studio Code. Let's enlarge and then let's go to the extensions blade and search for Postman here, and we can see here the Postman extension, and let's install it. All right, we have now a new entity here on the menu, and we can click on sign in if you have an account. If not, you can create one, and then Postman wants to open a URL. Yeah, let's allow it. And I'm in my Postman account, and these are all the collections I have here. On the main collection authentication authorization tab, let's set up the type of the authentication to AYouth 2.0, and the authorization URL, I have it here. I just copied it from and pasted from a text file. And we should be able to generate an access token. We're going to accept, and your call is authenticated. Okay. Authentication failed. Accept. Oh, okay, pop-up blocked. Let's allow. Accept. And the authentication is successful. We can see it here at the bottom of the page. All right, so we know we've got a token, and now we can start creating requests to Business Central. And the first one, to check the first request, I created here a note, a one note file, and I have one of the pages generic entities, and I'm trying to see if we can get all the entities exposed as API from Business Central. I want to see if we can get all the companies, and something that's been recent, external event subscriptions. So let's go ahead and look at all entities. We're going to copy the URL. It's already here. As you can see, I have here three variables: base URL, tenant ID, and environment. To create this variables and initialize them with the values that you want, you go here. There is a button here on the top right corner of the screen in Visual Studio Code, and you can put the tenant ID that you want to test the APIs for. In the base URL, just the base API businesscentral.com. I have two environments, a production environment and a dev environment. For this today's exercise, we're going to talk to the dev environment APIs. And company GUID, I have here something, but it's basically the company ID. I'm going to emphasize it once I get to the point when we list the companies. So let's go to the new request, and let's name this request list all entities. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We can see it in here. If we want to run it, we just click on send. The provided credentials are incorrect, unauthorized. I was missing a few keys in the body. These are the keys. If you can see here, grant type, client credentials, scope is this URL, client ID, and client secret. So for the first request, we want to check all the entities in Business Central, all the API entities in Business Central. And the way you get all these entities is by sending a GET request to this URL. Base URL, as you can see, I have a variable here, base URL, base_URL, and the URL is https API businesscentral.dynamics.com. To generate a new variable, you would go here on this button with an I, and you can see here I have the base URL defined, and also I have an enviro, a global variable, an environment variable in fact, and the tenant ID. So let's go back to the list of entities. I run the request, and as you can see, we get here a list of all the entities in Business Central. Among them is a recent one, external event subscriptions, API category routes, we have items, inventory posting groups, general product posting groups, units of measure. So we could use all this, and let's create a duplicate for this one. And in the duplicate, in the duplicate, we can see we created actually we have here a new entity. We have here a duplicate entity, and this one, let's go to get all the companies, and as you can see, the URL contains the word companies here. Let's name it companies, and paste the URL. Huh. Not really this, I wanted this one. Copy. Okay. Again, we can see the variables pointing to what we defined in the variables under for this environment, which is sandbox train dev, and authorization is inheriting from the parent. The parent is here. We should be able to run it. And we can see here, we've got here two companies. One is the Kronos USA and one is my company. I just want to copy this, the ID, the GUID for for the Kronos database, and just want to make sure we have yeah, it's the same. So we also have a variable for company GUID, which we will use pretty soon. And let's try another generic one for the external event subscriptions. So let's add, let's create a duplicate, and we're going to name it subscriptions, and this is the API URL, and yeah, that should be all. I don't know why it's not refreshing. It's probably because this is still a Visual Studio Code extension in beta version, so the guys at Postman, for sure, they still have work to do. And let's run it. Request data is invalid. Let's see why. Unresolved. Okay, so because my variables are ID, you see it's with uppercase, so let's go here. So base URL is fine. This one is not fine because for some reason I needed to have the uppercase there. Let's save the request definition and send, and we can see now the all the events that are triggered external to business, for external subscriptions to Business Central API. And this is, we can see it's in the accounts receivable category, this external business event, and we can see it was defined in exclude business events, also in accounts receivable category, another one, customer unblocked, opportunity activated in the opportunities, opportunity closed as lost, in the opportunities category, also part of the exclude business events application name extension. If you don't know what is all this deal with the exclude extensions, go to my website and svirlan.com, svirlan.com, and search for exclude, and you're gonna see a blog post on how we can identify the hidden extensions in Business Central. And yes, that's yeah, we've got here a bunch of business events that get triggered for external subscriptions. Okay, so those are the three kind of generic Business Central. Let's add a folder and let's call it customer API test. And let's create 4 requests for all the CRUD operations, for reading all the customers, for creating a new customer in Business Central, and for all the customers. All the environment variables are still intact, so that's great. Let's see if we can run it. Oh, we don't need a get keyword here. And we get the list of the customers here. Okay, Adatum, these are the customers in the Kronos database. Adatum, Trade Research, School of Fine Art, Alpine Ski House, Relay Cloud. Okay, let's create a new one. Let's duplicate that, and this time we're going to create a post request, and the post request, I have it, and the post request, it should point to this URL. And we definitely need also a body. Okay, and let's name it here new. And I think this is all good. It's a post request. Let's send it. And we've got a new customer created. It has the number C0020. Let's see if we can, if we list all the customers, if we can see it. So it's the first one here, YouTube customer, and then we got all the customers in the Kronos database. It's probably the series number is pointing to something starting with C. That's why the number is C0020. I created another one before this video, so that must have been C0010. Okay, so that's the new, and what I want you to notice here is that each entity in Business Central has a GUID, and this new customer has this GUID, and there is also an OData E tag, which is this string, and that's useful in the next API request. So let's create a new one. Let's duplicate this one and let's name it update. And for the update, this is the URL. Obviously is not this number, the customer that we want to update. So basically with this API, we try to update the previously entered customer, the YouTube customer. um, and yeah, normally let's get the list of all the entities, all the customers, and we can see now the ID of the most recent customer inserted. And if we go to update, we would need this guy here. And what else? What else do we need for the post request? Actually, it's not a post request, it's a patch request, because we're going to update an existing customer. So we have to select patch there. And what else? In the body, under row, we need to put the value of the new fields, the fields that we want to update. And the fields that we want to update are these guys: the email and the website. Okay, looks good. I think what we're missing, we need an e-data tag in the request, in the header. And from the list, we are going to select this string and I'm gonna put that string here without the backslash, because the backslash is just delimiting or signaling the next character is quote, double quote. So that would be it. So we're trying to update this customer, and if we match it, we're gonna update these fields. So if we look at the list, the email and the website are empty, but let's now run the update, and hopefully we can see the new email and the new website are according to what we had in the body. And we can see it's the same customer, YouTube customer. So when we're trying to update Business Central resource, we need to have this if dash match to make sure that the resource, which in this case is the last customer we inserted, has not been changed. And so it has double meaning. For one, we save bandwidth because we know all the fields of this customer. If we can match it with this tag. But on the other hand, is if that customer, if that entity was updated by other processes, then we won't be able to match it. And we would have to get the record again, get the customer again, and then update it. Basically, it's just like in AL. You get the customer, you get the entity, and then you update it. Otherwise, you might have a stale version of that record, and if you're trying to update it, you would get that sensational and sometimes annoying error that somebody else modified the record. So that's why we have the if match here. The body is just containing what we want to send as update, and we saw the update went through without issues. And the last one, let's create another duplicate, this time for a delete operation. And And let's see if there is anything I need to change. No. The update had the customer ID GUID 793 and the delete also needs to have that customer ID, and I'm gonna take it from the update. And I think that's it. So let's list it first. Let's see the customer. YouTube customer 793, email, website. Now let's try to delete it. Save, send. It's a post request and should be a delete request. So let's save that and send it again. And we've got TOEFL status TOEFL no content. The server successfully processed the request, but it's not returning any content. Let's list again all the customers, and we can see the first customer is a datum, so our customer indeed was deleted. This is it. I hope you enjoyed the short presentation on API requests with Postman from inside Visual Studio Code. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you. Bye.